Dirty Truth Tellers.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Couple2Couple. And this evening, our guests are two people who are so inspiring to us on so many levels. And we're really looking forward to this. And I have been excited all week. I'm first going to introduce Rachel Cleary. She's the musical director at Radio Free Brooklyn, producer and host of Here and Now. She also is a avid marathon runner who I am. First of all, you must be the toughest fucking chick in the world to do marathons, because I do Qigong and it's, for me, that's just like, oh my God. So I totally bow to you to get out and run in New York City. And her heart belongs to Marley. I know Robert's in there, but Marley is, we'll find out who Marley is later on. And I also found out you did a gallery piece of work with, I think it's Dr. Lisa Levitt. Huh? Yes, you did that. So, and now Robert, the other side of the coin, is an actor, producer, director, former proprietor of Surf Reality. That's where we met him, and the co-founder of Radio Free Brooklyn. .com, which is bringing music, which we need, a variety of music in the world right now, which is phenomenal. Also, I believe Robert trains. He has unbelievable tattoos on his body. I don't know if Rachel has tattoos.
I do. Well, yeah, it's a grown folk show, so you consider.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Wow.
Don't stop there. Don't stop there.
Wow. Wow. So
T-shirt.
welcome both of you.
Yes. So Robert and Rachel, yay.
Yes, welcome.
All right. Now, we haven't seen you in a long time, and we're going to start out because this is Couple2Couple. So we want to get to know, we definitely want to talk to you a lot about working together at Radio Free Brooklyn. But before we get to that, we did want to find out, how long have you two been a couple?
Oh,
8 years.
8 years now.
8 years.
Okay.
Now, you're not married, though.
No, not officially.
You're living in sin, which is a beautiful thing. We're very supportive of
Well,
that.
if you ever wanted to get married, I can marry you.
Yeah, she has
All
a
right. All right. We'll bear that in mind. You know?
Okay.
So it's 8 years. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about being a couple. That's how we start. Are you a monogamous couple?
Yeah.
Yes.
You are monogamous. And that was by choice. Did you sit down and talk about that, or it just sort of happened organically?
It happened organically.
Yeah. I think we made the correct assumption that we were entering into a monogamous thing.
Yeah.
It was.
It was. We didn't really even have to talk about it. And nothing ever really came up to challenge it.
Oh, that's
You know,
awesome. That's
You know,
awesome.
like there was never ever like was she flirting with you? And did you like that? Or what was that guy? Was he hitting on you? None of that ever happened.
That's a good thing. I mean, we've been.
I'm not about that either. It's just like, if you want to do that, then I really think you should not be in the relationship.
We've been monogamous. We're married now. I'm like 35 years.
Yeah.
So 35 years. So when we did a couple of shows talking about how monogamy is hot, monogamy is sexy. Yeah. And what's very interesting, people who aren't monogamous are very judgmental. Like, they're always putting people down who are monogamous. It used to be sort of the other way around, like people who are monogamous put down people who were into other things. But now that's really switched. And to me, it's just that you definitely need a lot of imagination and creativity for 35 years. That you definitely need. And I would say, if I just climb on top and squeeze the titties, it's not going to work, especially because our titties are very different than they were 35 years ago.
Yeah, my titties are relaxed now.
Now she can flip them over her back. She flips them over her back, and I can suck them from behind. It's a beautiful thing. It's a whole different thing.
Yes.
Now, who hit on who first? Did Rachel hit on you, Robert, or did you hit on Rachel?
I don't. Are we hitting?
Hitting may not be a word that you like, but who?
No, it was kind of like mutual.
Yeah, it was more like
at the same time.
both of us were kind of letting the other know it's okay to go there.
Okay.
You know.
How'd you do that?
We might want to start with putting out an important piece of information. I'd already kind of halfway moved in before we were dating.
Because it started out because Rachel was homeless for
technically
homeless. She was
happened for a while.
Trying to escape an abusive relationship. Her ex was physically violent, and she was a little traumatized, or a lot traumatized, actually, I would say. Had lost a lot of weight, hadn't had enough to eat, And so for the first 6 weeks, it was just like, I gave her the bedroom, and I was on the couch, and I was like, hey, just stay as long as you need. There was whatever, I was doing my thing, doing my business and what all. And after about 6 weeks, I was like, the couch is really like starting to hurt my back. So maybe we could share this queen size bed. I'm not going to, I think that's the,
I seem to remember it happening sooner than 6 weeks, but
I thought it was about 6 weeks, maybe 5 weeks.
What I remember was that, the thing is, I had been kind of floating a bit from space to space as my divorce was getting finalized, and it was tough because I had managed to find a job, and it started by the time I, took Robert up on an offer to stay at his place. He said, well, I have space. He had found out what was going on with me. He said, if you need a place to stay, I've got plenty of room. When I took him up on the offer, I found a job, started it very part-time, but I was also, like he said, I was in a relationship that was abusive in a lot of ways, but also physically. And I was recovering from an injury that was bad. So I was
being assaulted.
Yeah. So I was, kind of in a bad spot, had not been able to work a lot. And I took him up on the offer to stay there, and I've been there a little while. And I was kind of finally, especially since I've been able to work, I was able to start earning some money, kind of piecing some things together. The divorce was finalized finally. Things were starting to, it was really traumatic, and I wasn't in a good place, but it was better than I had been slowly. And I think I was starting to feel a little bit more confident and comfortable just being in my own skin, not just being around Robert or being in a place where I felt like I could be, intimate with anybody else again. But, there was a point where, and the thing is, I really liked him personally, but even like I was attracted to him, and I just thought like he's just really a decent human being here, and I don't want to mess this up. And my biggest thing moving forward with him was just like, I just really don't want to like hurt this person here. Kind of up. But I remember he went away
because it was the holidays.
Yeah, and he went out of town like right after things like happened with us. Right after that line was crossed, you went out of town with family. That was a planned trip, and you said, you can stay here. And you had told me that before. You said, if you want to stay here, go right ahead. And I had actually qualified like for some housing and stuff, and I had to decide for myself, do I want it? But that. You were gone for like 2 weeks or something. And I remember in that 2 week period is when I was able to kind of sit with it a little bit and go, okay, yeah, I'm not just like really into this person. I really, the distance was good in a sense, because it wasn't just like, oh, I'm just really excited to have somebody be nice to me, or be in something healthy. I'm really into Robert personally. And I also thought about it and said like, well, I could stay here. Or do I just, do I want to like have my own place and try to like continue seeing him? And I just stuck around, and I've been sticking around for 8 years.
But from what you said, what you two did was what a lot of couples, peeling that layer. I mean, you guys went there, and it's kind of like that's your foundation is so strong. And it's like, I always wanted that. Someone that will be there. Just, I'm not asking you to do the shit, just be there. So I think, Rachel, something must have in you with whatever wisdom you had at that moment. It was a blessing, because obviously you were someone important to him too, just on a human level, just in terms of.
I felt like he was going through some stuff too. Nothing like what I was going through. I mean, it's just, there were so many moments, even in the few months past us kind of getting together, where I would have understood completely if Robert had said, you know what, this is a lot of drama. I really like you, Rachel. This is a lot. And I would have been sad and disappointed, but I would have understood that completely. But it really, it does speak volumes about him. It just made me love him even more, because it's like, wow, look at his character.
Once it started getting romantic, and once we actually started making out and making love and all that, I was like, there's no way now I'm gonna mess this up with her, or reject her. I just was like, no, that can't happen, because I was very cognizant of what she'd just been through, and I didn't want to be, I'd extended an offering, out of a sense of generosity, I guess, and I didn't want it to turn into a pay to play kind of thing, I didn't want her to think oh, well, if you want to continue to stay, it's going to be like this and like that,
It was on some risky ground, though, because it could have easily been perceived by either one of us like that, or you might have perceived me to be just like kind of taking advantage and not. Because usually, I guess it's perceived to be, we skipped over a lot of steps that can be healthy in relationships to have before you cohabitate. We just kind of like did that first.
Well, there's so much, in our culture, there's a lot of transactional relationships people are in. And that, we were just recently talking about this, because when I met Naima, she had an apartment. She met me in a club where I was working. She hit on me to get in for free. And at that time, I was really hard into drugs, like really hard drugs. So when I started seeing her, I was telling her the other day that she hung in there with me at the beginning, when I was kind of like a stray dog, basically. And I always, even then I was questioning, why was she staying with me? Because I was really in a bad space. But because she did that at the beginning, I mean, that was a powerful thing. Like whenever I'm like feeling like an asshole, or I think she's being an asshole, I always remember the beginning of our relationship, because she was so kind to me. And, it was very powerful, and I don't know, I haven't spoke to you in a while, Robert, but I remember you were saying that you were practicing Buddhism. Mm-hmm. Are you still practicing? Mm-hmm. So you're still, well, as a Buddhist, because we're practicing Buddhists too. So
yeah, I know.
Buddhists, the idea of giving is such an important aspect of being a Buddhist. I mean, ultimately, being kind and giving are the main principles of being a Buddhist. And you showed a lot of kindness. I mean, you're kind of like a really cool camp counselor, like, the way, back in the Surf Reality days, or, like you're kind of a counselor in a way, but you're like the super cool counselor. Like you're the counselor, if you caught people smoking weed, you'd probably take a puff with them. You wouldn't rat them out to the head counselor. So I think that kindness, because Naima says that she was attracted to me because I was very kind to her, even though I was very much of a drug abuser, but I was a kind drug abuser. So I think kindness is what I'm picking up in your relationship with each other, that there's a lot of kindness in both of you. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a really beautiful thing that if you have that, because.
So who farted in front of who first?
Yes, these are the more interesting questions.
When he did it, were you shocked?
Not entirely, but a little. I just
we're
comfortable now.
How long into it before he farted in front of you?
Oh, it's been going on so long, I don't even remember now.
I told Steve he could relax and do it, but I'd never smelt anything that bad.
Yes.
And so I was like really taken back.
And I was eating all those Jewish foods like pastrami,
Oh
corned
my
beef,
God.
like that stuff.
I never. No, it's not a bad smelling thing. I meant.
I have a nervous stomach. I mean, I just I've had gas my entire life.
That's another thing we never really talked about. It just kind of happened. He just started farting.
Because Naima was like, no, you got to feel comfortable. And then when I laid out an Epstein fart, she tried to change it.
Oh my
I said,
God.
no, once you
Started
said it,
burping.
you gave me permission. So here's another question that we ask couples. Now, you two live together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we live together and we have a very small apartment. But here's the thing. We don't sleep in the same bed. We sleep in separate beds. Do you guys sleep in the same bed?
Yes.
So you find that romantic? You know, because a lot of people feel that's very romantic.
Well, it's hard for me because going through menopause, I'm always hot.
Right.
And when I go into bed, I sleep. He's a mover. He's got to get up and snack, and I cannot. I hate it.
Plus, now that I'm an old man, I pee every 13 minutes. Like, if you were sleeping with me, I'm on my way to the bathroom. Like, I have the bed closer to the toilet.
I can't handle
because as I've gotten older, like, that's a bad thing. For men, I know a lot of men are like this. Like, I never sleep more than like 3 hours without having to get up to pee. You know, so we could do a show. Be charged up. I'm like super charged up when I come home, and she goes right to sleep. Like, she literally has no, like, in 1 minute, I'm tossing and turning. When we go to a hotel, I can't sleep like the first few nights I'm there. I'm like, I have all kind of weird sleeping issues. So we just decided to sleep separately. And as we've gotten older, now it's probably good. Should I tell them the story?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm the one that doesn't really like to touch or hug in bed if we're not doing stuff, you know, like I'm like, because I'm a heater. Me too. So like if she like wants to snuggle, I'll start to get hot.
Oh, this is him. I'll be like this, and he's just like, okay, just takes my hand and
it's like the towering inferno, right? Like
I need something.
But she falls asleep a lot sooner than I do, and I toss and turn, and I also have to get up and pee every 3 hours too. So
you may go through menopause with that heat, Robert. You never know. Like, maybe that's.
No, I've always been a heater my entire life.
That's where the dog comes in handy, because if I need like a warm body who doesn't mind being touched, the dog will jump in there, and I got the dog in there.
And you see, these are the kind of things like couples don't feel comfortable discussing, but it can really fuck up your relationship. You know, like I'm a snorer really bad when I'm tired or not feeling well. I mean, I'm talking about Louis Armstrong. Like, I am out there.
I mean, her snoring is so.
It's really bad.
You know, I'm a person like the slightest thing, I'm up for the next 6 hours. So we went on a Buddhist retreat, and we were staying in this tiny little room. It was really tiny. We had to sleep in the same bed, and literally in 1 second she started snoring. But like really painful snoring.
He's like with his Primatine. There's too many trees.
I'm in the country. I'm dying from my asthma. Everything is killing me, and she snores. And I could see how that's the only justification for killing your wife. If you are with a snorer for many years, I don't think any jury will convict you, because this is really, really
well, the
hard.
closest we think that you two probably got to it, because we listened to a tape that Rachel had put up of the sound of the sirens.
The sirens back in Brooklyn.
And
we listened to that last night.
I was like,
the Charlotte siren.
We were looking for. We were doing our what do you call that? Our research on Rachel.
How the hell
trying
did
to
you
find
deal
out.
With that?
And there was a thing, and I remember when that was going on with you. And I'd like to apologize to you as a Jew, because that is such cruelty. That was so cruel.
It was the Shabbat siren.
Yeah, it was just rough. We ultimately moved, although that wasn't the defining thing in the move.
It was one of many things. It was the beginning of, the way I think about leaving that apartment, which I had for 9 years. It was a loft. Was all kinds of things. First the siren, and then mold started appearing in the bathroom.
Like the bad black kinds,
And,
like sci-fi.
like flowers of mold.
Oh, shit.
And then on the ceilings of the bathroom, and then in the kitchen. And then we started getting like these like water bugs that are about
like that big.
Yeah, those are
Right.
You can't step on them; they'll trip you.
and they fly, right?
Yeah.
They're like post-apocalyptic flying roaches. Our future overlords. They started showing up, and like I remember one night waking up and like seeing one fly across the room, and then in the kitchen I would see them. They were in the wall in the behind the sockets, and their little antenna would come out through waving through the little. So and then I'd had this like I was living there because I'd moved in with a previous relationship. She moved out. I got to keep the place, but then the management decided I no longer qualified for the rent stabilized deal that she had. So all of a sudden they say, you got to sign a new lease. And then when that lease was coming up, as the walls were blooming and the sirens were sounding and the bugs were flying, I said, how much is this lease going to be? And they said, oh, it's going to be a lot more. I said, we're out. And so we moved to East Harlem. And then like within 6 months later, COVID started. And then while COVID was starting, our old building, it turns out they had an illegal gas hookup for the whole building. So no more heat and no more hot water.
Wow.
Yeah, the Department of Buildings shut that down, and they had to go through a whole process. I don't know what they did in the meantime. I think they installed electric heat in the meantime.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're doing about their water. But like during those first 6 months of COVID, that building had no heat and no hot water.
And that neighborhood was ground zero for the measles outbreak. It brought back
and
measles.
And plus they had huge COVID spike there because it was a Hasidic neighborhood. They don't believe in vaccines. And they don't believe in social distancing. They don't believe in masks.
We got the hell out just in time.
So we got out just in time, but the way, and it's partly my Buddhist training, but I was sort of feeling like, well, the entire environment was telling us to get out.
Yeah, what more science do I need?
Right.
Exactly. And all we did really was pay attention to the clues,
Yeah,
Hasidim are so amazingly selfish in it. They're so unwilling to participate in the communities that they're in. They really are. It's just like
they went from.
Sorry.
I felt like that, especially in our area, like that. Initially, as a Satmar community started to move into that area, they went from being just kind of insular, keeping very much to themselves, being sort of passive to passive aggressive. Like I'd walk down the street and people would literally walk into me on purpose. Excuse me.
They want you out. Want you out.
And knocking into you on the sidewalk repeatedly, things like that. We've got like a passive aggressive aggression kind of going on, but it's getting like en masse now.
Yeah, the kids would like tease the dog in a cruel kind of way, not in a sweet way, but like to make the dog upset.
I looked up on the internet how to say leave my dog alone, or I'll tell all your mothers in Yiddish, and they'd look at me like this, like.
I love it. Yeah.
I was passive aggressive the other day. I didn't tell you this, but I was stopped I was in Washington Square Park, and two Hasidic guys came up to me and asked me if I was Jewish, because then they pray with you if you're Jewish. Right. And I said to them, "Are you Jewish?" And they're like looking at me like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, why are you guys so supportive of Donald Trump? I mean, he's basically a Nazi, and you guys love Donald Trump. You were part of the insurrection. You guys were there fighting this is the Lubavitcher, not the Satmars." And I blew them. They didn't even know how to answer me, because I'm saying you can't be Jewish. I don't lay tefillin. I don't do any of that stuff. Actually, I'm a Buddhist. I didn't tell them that. You guys are not Jewish, because to me, if you support Trump, that's a white supremacist Nazi. How could you claim that you're Jewish? Because I know why. Because he was so unbelievably in favor of Israel against.
Well, it was also because Hillary Clinton was a woman, and the Hasids are very sexist that way.
Yeah, they can't vote females.
In Israel, the conservatives, the Hasids in Israel, they will airbrush women out of photographs before they print them in their Hasidic newspaper.
Wow.
But you know that they're some of the biggest, kinkiest freaks. We knew a lot of dominatrixes. They're really into all kind of showers, but none of them are normal.
And especially the Satmar, like in Brooklyn, the Satmar are very, very sexist. They won't educate their girls past high school. And other Hasidic sects, the women do go to college. There's even Hasidic women judges in Brooklyn, but they're not Satmar. And the Satmar are definitely Trumpites because of the sexism thing. That's really the main reason.
It's very interesting. Now let's get to the.
How are you both dealing with the music that's out here today?
Because you two are running a radio station.
And you're running very eclectic music.
Let's give a little setup to that.
Okay.
Because Robert and Tom Tenney started Radio Free Brooklyn in 2015, and Rachel is the music director of the station.
Right.
And so you two work together, sort of like we work together.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not, you don't do a show together, but you are running a business, running an operation together. Do you ever have any conflict with that?
No.
Not so much, because our roles, especially as RFB has evolved, there are specific roles and that people need to fill there, and our roles are kind of.
Yeah. Rachel's management, and I'm on the board of directors, so I'm not really day to day like she is. I mean, I'll come in and weigh in on a thing every now and then, but I'm really. I've really sort of handed the thing off to the next generation. I'm not really I show up for board meetings every 3 months, and that's about it. And I do my shows.
Our roles and responsibilities at this point at the station are like in two different rooms of the house, in two different wings of the house.
Yeah.
Earlier on, we were more same room, same wing of the house. But the way things are structured now. I bounce a lot of ideas off of him, or I'll confer with you sometimes, and vice versa. We talk a lot about music because we just love music.
We love that. Robert cracked me up a little while ago. I forget, it was recently on Facebook. I told Naeem, I said, Robert said he was the oldest guy at the concert. I don't know, you had gone to see somebody play.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how do you feel when you go in to see rock shows, knowing that you are the oldest person in the room?
Okay. Lots of rock shows I'm not, because actually rock, a lot of the audience for rock is my generation. A lot of Gen Z, they're not that into rock, So I was actually very happy that I was the oldest person at that show, because that made me feel like, okay, Gen Z's, getting it. They want to do bands too, Millennials, also like, they're less interested in, I mean, think about it. Has there been any band rock band in the last 10 years that could sell out, like that started in the last 10 years that could sell out Madison Square Garden? Can you think of one?
No, I can't.
What about Coldplay?
They're 20 years old. They're 30 years old.
Really?
Yeah. Even a band like Kings of Leon is 25, 30 years.
They're 20 years old.
I'm trying to think, I mean,
Interpol, The National, they all started at the turn of the century, the Strokes,
right.
The Arcade Fire, is 20 years old.
Didn't you at one time, Robert, work in as a doorman in a club, like a
Pyramid
rock club? Right.
I worked at the Pyramid on Avenue A from 83 to 86. And before that, in Washington, D.C., I worked at the 930 Club, which was,
you were around like when the bands like New Order and, the early 80s in
I saw Black Flag at the 930 Club in 1982. Wow. I saw Television at the 930 Club in 1981. I saw X. In New York, I actually saw Richard Hell and the Voidoids at CBGB's in 1979. So you must have known Madonna then when you were. I carded Madonna at the Pyramid. Was she not nice as a person? Because that's what we hear all the time, that she was, even before she was famous, she was very arrogant. she was nice to some people and didn't give a shit about other people. I as soon as I carded her, everybody behind the bar went, no, let her in. You know, and I went, okay, you're in. You know, I did the same thing with Tom Cruise. I carded him too. Nobody said anything about him. They let me card him.
Yeah, well, that's understandable.
It was funny. It was funny too because I get the thing and I get it and I don't. You know, I kind of recognize him. I go like, aren't you in show business? You know, and he's really short. He's really short too. And he was with two beautiful women, both like 5 inches taller than him. So yeah, that was
So what kind of music does what kind of music is the station mainly playing, Rachel? Like do you go look for bands or they send you music? How do you do it?
It's everything. We have music submissions. Anyone can send us music. But the other thing about our station is that it's freeform, so we don't tell the hosts what to play. I mean, there are some parameters we'd like you to follow in terms of content, which are pretty broad. Like, but so the hosts bring in a lot of music that they're into. Also, there is a lot of rock. There's a lot of local stuff because people are real into the local scene. But it's pretty diverse. We recently, I'd say within the last year, brought in some more like EDM and electronic shows because it's what younger people are into. And we got applications for shows from some younger people who are DJs and they're used to doing DJ sets and they couldn't go out to the clubs and they wanted to bring what they do to some kind of platform and they chose us. And so we've got some more of that going on. We've got this one show called Hair Metal Mixtape. It's like it's literally like hair metal, so it's pretty diverse. And
what is that?
Hair metal, you know, like 80s hair metal, like Motley Crue.
Oh, the big. Okay.
Yeah, you know, Poison. Yeah. You know, White Snake. You know.
Yeah.
It's pretty diverse.
They use more hairspray than I did. Yeah.
No, I don't think we have. We actually do kind of have a country show, but he's more of a bluegrassy, like traditional country. He's not like that commercial.
That guy
country.
Cash.
Yeah, Cash. Yeah. So we really tried to cultivate this in such a way so that it's really broad and we have all of the genres.
I mean, Rachel, for instance, like we actually have two streams now on Radio Free Brooklyn. We have Radio Free Brooklyn, and then we have a second stream on the website. You can just click over and go to what's called Local Chords too, and we've dedicated that stream to all New York programming. So I do a 2-hour show that I call Radioactive New York, and it's either a New York band or it's a cover of a New York band or it's a song about New York.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be something.
That's really great.
Brilliant.
That's really great.
Brilliant.
I started the New Jack Hour, which is New Jack Swing. Of course, New Jack Swing was cultivated and created here in New York City, but it really took off outside of New York. So the parameters I set for myself are really challenging. I might have to move that show to keep up with it over to our initial stream. So there is a New Jack Swing show also. Like which is very niche. But
we have jazz shows. Yeah. We have, I think there's a hip hop show.
Yes. You have vocalists.
There's a dub show. It's nothing but dub music. My show, Bushwick Garage, is psychedelic music. It's for smoking weed.
Yeah, I listened to that show. Strangely enough, I've listened to, and it's a very good show actually. He plays some great music.
But that's what it's designed for. It's designed for heads, and
I love that shit because I remember when radio in New York on WNEW-FM and originally WPLJ. Those were freeform. They were rock stations, but they played like you could play a song for 25 minutes. It's not like the way it was freeform, and the DJs would talk a lot about music, like really educate you, and you could learn a lot. It was really interesting stuff. I hate current radio, commercial radio. I mean,
with my show too, because I formatted my own show here and now with Rachel C to just basically be like a virtual stage, and I wind up interviewing a lot of musicians, but there's basically any kind of performing artist can come on, but I wind up booking, because this is a show where you can do this. People still do concept albums. I book people with concept albums, people who write the 20-minute pop song. That still happens. And they're like, where can I play this? And I I wind up booking that person because I technically have the show that that is
her show's like a cultural magazine. It's like what to do, where to do it, who to who, what, where, and when, how much, why, and then the people come on and talk about their stuff. They'll like live rappers will come on and do hip hop live on the spot.
That's music though.
Not strictly music. I've had comedians come on and they kind of.
We were on your show.
You guys were. Rick Shapiro did her show.
Where Rick Shapiro came on, and I just
let him go.
And gave him the mic. Yeah, well, that's what you do with him. Yeah.
But like we also got this like a 5-piece band in called the Velveeta Underground, and they do Velvet Underground as bluegrass.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is really good.
So there was a stand-up bass, there was a violin, there was a pedal steel guitar, banjo, and a vocalist, and there was and a guitar player, and it was amazing.
I had a theater group once come on and do a one-act play, a portion of a one-act play. Probably most memorable was the time the street performer came on and decided to do his silent puppet show on the radio. I had only done I was like 6 episodes into my radio show. So I was really new at this too. And I'm like,
oh, great. Marcel Marceau's here.
Basically. And he was serious. I heard the crap and I'm like, okay. And I just started describing what he's doing and trying to be really animated about it. I'm like, you chose the silent puppet show for radio. Great. I'll never forget.
I'm trying to broadcast bowling on the radio.
Yeah.
Like, the ball is down.
Yeah, or golf.
Every all that you can talk about.
Well, I want to ask you both about this young lady who was in a band. They did the cover of Rage Against the Machine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard about her. It's called what was it?
I don't remember.
Anyway, she pissed on stage.
Did you hear about this?
No, I'm hearing about it now.
Look it up. They use brass. But they do all Rage Against the Machine.
I think it's Rage Brass or something like that.
But they do all their music.
Okay.
And so she's on stage and she brings this guy on stage and she pees, right?
On his face.
On his face.
Yes.
So, all right. Then
the crowd goes wild. They love it.
Of course.
And even in the video, you can tell she's peeing. And what a stream. The stream itself was very impressive.
Yes,
I mean, I'm more of a drip kind of guy at this stage.
It's not about your piss, baby.
It's a powerful stream.
So then the next day, of course, what does she get in the world that we live in today? A lot of response. And
she blew up the internet.
She fucking apologized.
You never apologize.
You never apologize. If you're going to take the risk to do that.
If you're going to piss on someone's face.
Why are you apologizing?
And then you finally get the attention because she's in her 30s. She's a rock singer. She's been on some of those TV shows where.
Like The Voice.
The Voice. So she wants to be famous. That's obvious. She's trying to be famous. And then she gets famous. And then she apologizes.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah. Because you're clearly a risk taker if you're going to play.
She's a poser, Rachel.
or you're a poser.
You understand what I'm saying? That now people look like they are.
There was a lot of pissing
edgy
on the Lower East Side back in the day of like Sue Doe, who used to do the Blue Angel.
Yeah.
She peed. Uta one time took a thing of piss and threw it at somebody peed in spaghetti. And she threw it at the audience. So piss has been going on for a long time.
But she's a poser because what she got, probably sponsors were saying, you're on tour and then, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend my family.
You did it to go viral and then thinking I'll just apologize later.
Yeah.
Because you know me, Robert, as soon as she did that, I said, all right, Naima, do it. Just piss on my face on stage and finally get some publicity, not that we perform live anymore because we haven't performed live in like a year and a half. Which is stupid depressing.
So are you doing live now or how are people getting you their stuff, Rachel?
Well, let's see. I've gone live back into the studio. Not all of my guests are live. Some still talk to me over Zoom and I'll record it and I'll play that in the studio. Some people meet me in the studio. We have a lot of precautions and protocols that we set up, including maximum capacity limits and things like that. We have a field recorder. I've gone out into the field outside and sat there and recorded things with people and played that on the air. And I, don't have a guest necessarily every single week anymore. It's not like bang, 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 bang every week like it used to be. It's okay. People have always submitted music via our website, so that hasn't really changed much. We actually get a lot more music submissions now. I think that people, especially once everybody went home, like a year and a half ago, 18 years ago, when everyone went home, God, we started getting a lot of submissions. Everybody,
but fewer bands,
bands. A lot of people who are clearly solo artists who got some applications to make music on their computer, but like everybody, we have so many submissions.
Bands are harder to produce. You need to get 4 people in the same room at the same time.
Right.
I also saw you posted, I think it was the other day, about how much Spotify pays.
Through Spotify.
Yeah. That's another reason.
I knew that they were bad, but I was
that's another reason why. That's another reason why bands are having a hard time. Also, we knew him. We actually hung out with him a few times and had conversations with Moby. Remember Moby?
I remember Moby.
He's friends with Rev Jen, and he's been to
I remember.
Mike. And Moby had that hit Play. Remember Play in the 90s?
Yes.
Yep.
He produced that in his bedroom.
Wow.
Not everyone has his talent.
And he did that in his bedroom by himself, and it was in all kinds of movies and TV shows and commercials. And other producers, they went ka-ching. Why do we need to pay a whole, stable of engineers and musicians and session people when all we really need is one genius?
Right.
Well, I wish that comedians or performance artists had the vehicle that you two are offering for music, because it's so important. There is no scene anymore.
Yeah. The thing about music is you can take it with you as long as you have like earphones or whatever.
Right.
It's very portable,
Right.
and your involvement with it is like macrame. It can be very, very involved, or you can just make it be wallpaper in the background.
Right.
So, but what you guys do demands attention. You can't be wallpaper. You have to be, on the thing. So, and Zoom performances, and God bless, everybody that does that, and people have been doing that. It's not quite the same.
Not the same at all.
No, it's not.
It's
not.
But
there's a palpable energy difference.
We decided to do 2 kinds of shows. Like, we're going to interview people, but we also do shows that are just us doing comedy. And what I've noticed is, for me, doing comedy when no one laughs is torture. I don't get any pleasure. I mean, maybe you get, not you personally, but people listening, they may laugh, but I'm not experiencing. It's like sex without any return. I am Jewish. I do need some payback. If I'm going to say something funny, I want you to laugh. And when you do it on this, you get no feedback. It's like part of what we do together when we perform live is that we have interaction with people. And we'll ask you this at the end, but before, because I see the time, ask them some of your silly questions.
Okay.
These are rocket round questions.
Okay.
We're very.
Who do you like, the two of you, the Munsters or the Addams Family?
I'm an Addams family.
I think Addams Family. Yeah.
Wow, Munsters get so
Munsters
few votes.
Nobody votes for them, man.
All right, Rob.
I like Fred Gwynn after he was an
actor, though. Before Where Are You Too?
Yeah. Okay,
Let me ask the question. I got a couple.
You just told me to do it.
You don't remember this question.
He was also great in My Cousin Vinny.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
The other day, we watched a movie called The Summer of Love. Have you two seen that, about the 1969 Harlem Music Festival?
Yeah, with Questlove. Yeah, Questlove directed and produced that.
Fifth Dimension was in that.
Yes.
And I told Naima that when I was a young boy growing up, like 11, 12 years old, Marilyn McCoo was my main focus of my masturbatory development. And and seeing her that night, it brought back all these memories.
Oh, he's sitting there like with
I was
tears
like crying.
in his eyes for
Marilyn McCoo drove me nuts. And she thought that was weird because,
Marilyn McCoo.
She said, no, being Hassan, she says to me, she doesn't look anything like me. She looks more like Cindy. I don't have like one shade. I mean, I'm a wide black shade, I can go the whole black thing. But it was, so who was the first female for you, or male, whatever it is, that you remember having a lot of masturbation as a
When you were young,
a
Rachel.
young Robert Prichard and a young Rachel?
Well, it would have been the same time. I mean, my first like celebrity crush was probably Goldie Hawn when she was the dancer on Laugh-In.
Oh yeah,
I can
yeah.
see Rachel could be a kind of follow-up. Rachel.
Yeah.
Goldie Hawn. Goldie Hawn 2021. Yeah.
I can't remember. Jeez. Oh gosh. Somebody in some boy band somewhere. They're all a blur. They all look the same. Oh gosh. Probably one of the members of one of those freestyle bands I was into when I was a kid, like from TKO or something like that.
How about you?
For me, it was Isaac Hayes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hot Buttered Soul.
Yeah. I went to see him at the Apollo in red hot pants.
Have you guys seen that movie, by the way?
I had that album, Hot Buttered Soul.
Yeah.
And I also had the Fifth Dimension, Up and Away. I had that 45 when I was a kid.
Marilyn McCoo, man. Even the old Marilyn McCoo. You know, she's not young. They interview her. Have you seen the film?
Yeah, I saw the film. She was great. Yeah, I mean,
the performer who had me in tears was Mahalia Jackson. The gospel singer, and she wasn't even feeling well.
She tore that up.
She said, "I'm not feeling that well," and I'm like, "How many people can just go there like that and they're sick?"
You know what? I mean, the music was great, but to me, the music is really all a blur. What really fascinated me about that movie was just the people, the audience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
he really captured.
I was people watching the whole time. I was going, "Oh,
that was a great moment."
Yeah.
You know,
it would have been lost forever if he didn't do that.
Well,
I mean, it was really powerful. You know, I remember that. I remember the late '60s in New York when in that movie somebody said we stopped being Negroes and we started being black.
Yeah,
that happened in 1969. And I remember that when black people just weren't going to take shit anymore. And but it was a loving vibe in that audience. It was very loving. It was like really a beautiful movie. He did a great job.
Well, I told Steve, you know, when I used to go to Sunday school, all blacks used to go to Bear Mountain. And your church would rent a bus and everybody had fried chicken, potato salad, Kool-Aid, whatever. And it was that vibe because, you know, those families brought their food there. And it was from the church clothes to the pimp to the whatever. And there was a sense of community, yet you didn't have to know each other.
Right.
Like, and I don't get that anymore. I don't feel that anymore. And that's very sad to me because there was a sense of, it was a sense of community. I even think the bands that they chose, because Diana Ross was very big, but they chose Gladys Knight.
I'm gonna tread on thin ice here now. I'm not. This might be a little touchy, but I think historically, culturally, where American society is now, we are not in a post-racial society. We are still in a fairly racist situation.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. But so many people are like pushing back against that observation that there's a sort of like I maybe shoot me down if I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like a lot that you don't have that same cohesion in the black community like you had in
absolutely, Robert.
Because they're feeling like, well, we got it kind of beat now.
Absolutely.
It's as bad as it was.
They have
when actually it's worse in a way.
They have tricked us into capitalism, into that bullshit. No, you know what? You're not treading, and don't stop saying
we always talk about this. The difference of the athletes and the Bill Russells, Jim Brown. They were politically active people. LeBron James almost did the right thing when he almost took the NBA players on strike when that situation was going on.
Bubble. Yeah,
I was totally bummed out when he backed down because that would have changed everything. That would have made unions it was a very big moment. And who stopped him from doing it? Barack Obama. Barack Obama spent 8 years as president of the United States, didn't clean the water in Flint. Now, you could defend a lot of things.
Beyonce.
You could do a lot of things.
and did a real good job of not being an angry black man.
Right, you can't do a better job.
When there might have been a day or two.
all that does is give you a fucking ulcer, okay?
Yeah, when there might have been a day or two when the angry man should have come out.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, absolutely.
He was for me, the most disappointing moments of my life. I was in Greenwich Village when people before the election in 2008 were walking on Bleecker Street screaming, Obama, hundreds and hundreds of people. And he didn't do it. He came in and did something totally different.
He didn't do it.
I think he betrayed America, and he, I don't want to get too much off because we're almost at the end. So here's the most important question before you two go.
Okay.
First of all, it was great having you on the show.
Thanks for
It was
having
really
us.
wonderful
And
having you
please
two.
know that we respect and love you two so much. What you're
Same
doing, it's
Same
so
here.
powerful.
That's why we're here. It's why, because we feel that way about you. That's why
Love
we're
you guys. And, I was very well behaved because I said that when I went on Rachel's show, I talked about surf reality for an hour. And I talked about how much I love surf reality and how it's the greatest place in the history of places and how Robert, I said to Naima today, I'm not going to go into my surf reality memory lane thing, but you did create something amazing. I'm only going to say that. That was an amazing place. It was amazing. There's never been a place like that. I like the other venues down there, but surf reality to me was the, we developed our whole act there. Every time we were there, we developed our act. It was like so free and so open. And,
and we were like, had no idea what this product was going to be.
No, we went there and it was like,
we just knew that we wanted to perform. We had something to say. We weren't clear on what it was we were going to say, but you gave us the space to be students and the master at the same time.
Because Robert has the widest taste of any person that I've ever seen as a proprietor or a book or whatever word you want to do. You are very wide in your taste, what you can like. You like a lot of different things. And for us, we had already met a lot of resistance in comedy clubs that you guys are not a comedy team. This is nobody does.
You don't tell jokes.
So it was like, who's the straight man? Who's the funny man? And you just gave us a place to do our thing. And we've never forgotten that over all these years. But when I went on Rachel's show, that's all I talked about. And when we got off, she was like, all you did was talk about surf reality.
It's important.
Hit me up when we got home, So I was like, all right, I won't do it tonight. So, but I had to slip a little bit in.
And,
That's the door from the bathroom.
No, the old closet door. Remember?
Oh, yes.
I love that bathroom, man. I love that.
That was the closet door. That when you first walk in on the left, there was that closet door with all the stickers.
Yeah.
When I got it back, I was actually out of my possession for a while. When I got it back, I posted it on Facebook, and the best comment was, "Oh no, I got stage fright now."
I got
This is what it's
I
like.
got stage confidence. I always had a lot of stage confidence.
Be an artist or live with an artist, Linda. I'll be right back. Michael says he's got something for me downstairs. Next thing you know, two guys are carrying a door covered in stickers. Like, what do you have there? A door. It's it's like this random stuff. This apartment's full of random stuff.
So we leave you with this because we can't perform anymore. And a big part of our show, at the end of our show, we would always tell people that for us, this because we are monogamous, this is group sex. So the next time we have sex, it won't be tonight because we never screw on a Monday at our age.
No.
Everything's very scheduled. No spontaneous sex. You got to make sure you didn't eat too much. I don't eat for 2 days usually if we're going to fuck because nowadays very gassy.
Gassy guy.
So next time we do have sex, though, we will use you two in our sexual. We'll have you there. We'll have you both there. Maybe Rachel will be listening to music or something.
Yeah, we'll have her like this.
We'll have her moving around.
Yeah, and Robert will have gas.
Robert will have gas.
Yes.
But we want you to do the same for us. So the next time
I'll be snoring.
do some interracial. Like we'll have you have an interracial
and I'll
couple
hate it.
there.
I'm hot. I'm hot.
He'll be hot. You two will be hot. And me and Rachel can stay cool.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
I love it.
So
in any way we could ever support you too, please.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you for being with us tonight. And we hope to see you soon in person.
Yes.
Yes,
me
please,
too.
yeah.
Robert and Rachel.
Yes. And Marley.
And we are the Dirty Truth Tellers. And thank you guys for listening today. And this show will be up in about a week. And we'll send you the info. Oh, also, we'll ask you if you guys could send us a photo of you together as a couple.
Okay.
We'll post it on our stuff. Okay.
Any whatever photo you want. If you want something about the show that you're doing or whatever.
Or your tattoos. I mean, because Robert's got plenty of tattoos. Robert had tattoos when they meant something. See, now everybody has tattoos. You can be an accountant that voted for Trump.
We have decent tattoos.
Yeah.
We don't have like this budget $50 house minimums.
I still have a great photo somewhere, packed away somewhere, of you two with me and Al Goldstein.
Yes. Yeah, we'll send that to you. Yes.
On the surf stage.
That was one of my great moments, man, when Al Goldstein came to Surf Reality.
Yeah.
That was a great moment. It was a great memory.
It was really cool. There they are. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you, Zoom.
All right.
Stay healthy. Stay healthy.
Brian, you too.
Please be well.
Please be well, you guys. Thank you. So
Bye-bye.
good to see you.
All right. Bye-bye.